It is an essential module for data science as well as for different domains. We are using this module. Numpy stands for numerical Python. So before this thing, need to. So I'm getting disturbance from some of you guys. So here it is an essential module for data science as well as in the image processing also. So here let us assume, so here you are working on some image processing thing. So whatever the image you consider, image will be measured in the form of pixels. So here image will be measured in the form of pixels. So we will discuss that additional stuff in the upcoming sessions. So before that thing, we will finish this entire topic. So yesterday we started concept called NumPy. In this NumPy concept, we started with how to import this model. So here it is a way to import this model, and you need to run this portion. Whenever you run this portion, if it returns module not found error, you need to install this module. So for this, if you are using Anaconda prompt, it is the command to install this NumPy module. So here conda install NumPy is the command to install this module. After that, if you are working on Python ideally, if you want to install this thing in Python ideally, for that it is a command. Like that, we compare the difference between list as well as NumPy array. So here it is the thing. So these are the things which we discussed in previous classes. So at the end of the previous class, we started NumPy array functions. So out of those functions, first function is how to create array dynamically. So for that purpose, initially we use a traditional range function. By using this traditional range function, we created NumPy array. So by using this traditional range function, we created NumPy array dynamically. So here in this thing, if you observe, here in the range function, I specified 12. So by default, starting index will be considered as 0. That means from the 0 to 11, we are creating one array, and for that we kept a data type as floating point values, and I'm observing the data present in this array. So whenever you observe this array, here we have values from 0 to 11. So here array is created with the 12 elements from 0 to 12. I want to reshape this array directly, so we can do this reshaping also directly. So here I'm performing reshape operation. So here I'm saying 3 comma 4. I want to reshape this array with the size of 3 comma 4, and I'm running this portion. Now this original array will be converted in the form of 3 cross 4 size. So here in this reshape attribute, if you specify two parameters, those are nothing but number of rows as well as number of columns. Whereas in this reshape function, if you specify three attributes, first attribute will be for number of arrays, and second two attributes corresponding to dimensionality of an array. So to make it clear that example, I did this thing. So here we are creating two arrays with the size of 2 cross 3. So if you observe the output of this thing, here two arrays will be created. So every one corresponding to 2 cross 3 size. That is about this reshape function. After this thing, we have arrange function. Like range function, here we have arrange function, which is specifically designed for NumPy arrays only. To create NumPy array dynamically, we need to use this arrange function. The syntax of this arrange function is similar to range function only. So whatever the attribute we specify in the range function, those attributes only we need to specify in this arrange function. In this arrange function, here I specified two attributes. So if you specify two attributes in this array function, means first attributes corresponding to the starting value and second attributes corresponding to ending value. So here we created an array from 1 to 17, whereas 17 is an excluded value. That means from the 1 to 16 we are creating array. So I want to reshape this array. So initially by default it will be create array with a single dimension. I want to change that thing into 4 cross 4 size. To convert that thing, here I am applying reshape function. After applying reshape function, I am observing the output of this C. In this C, one array will be created with the size of 4 cross 4. So here, reshape is a function which is used to change the dimensionality of any created array. So after this thing, again, I'm observing the stuff which is present in C. Here we created like this. So before this thing, here I'm removing this reshape attribute. I'm not specifying that thing directly. I'm running this portion. So here one dimensional array will be created. After this thing, I'm running this portion. So here After this thing, I am observing the output which is present in C. So here, whenever you apply reshape function, it won't store, won't modify the output which is present in C. So here, it is a function which is used to modify the output for one instance only. Whereas, if you want to modify the any array data permanently, for that purpose, we need to use resize function. So here, resize is a function which is used to modify any array permanently. So after this thing, we saw linspace function. So here it is a function. It is like arrange function only, whereas syntax of this linspace function is different. To plot the different plots, so to plot the different continuous plots, we are using linspace function. To consider a lot of points in plotting continuous plots, we are using this linspace function. In this linspace function, first we need to specify the starting value, and next we need to specify the ending value, and then next we need to specify number of intervals in between these two values. So here starting value as well as ending value both are included values only. So here starting index as well as ending index both are included values only. This is about this linspace function. After this linspace function, we have flatten as well as ravel function. We will discuss those functions later. So before that, these functions, yeah, we will discuss few more things. So here, after this, we have empty function. To create an array with the zeros, to create an array with all zeros, we need to use empty function. So here I'm using empty function. In this empty function, we need to specify the dimensionality of an array. So here we need to specify the dimensionality of an array. So I want to create an empty array with the size of 3 cross 3. Here I'm specifying the size of 3 cross 3. So if you observe this output here, we created an array
Hello.
with the garbage values. So this garbage values, these all values are closer to zeros only. So here empty is a function which is used to create an array with the garbage values which are closer to zero. So these all values are closer to zero only. So like this empty function, to create an array with all the zeros, we have zeros function. Here I'm creating array with all zeros. So for that purpose, we have zeros function. If you want to create an empty array with a specific dimension, we need to use this zeros function. So in this, I want to create an array with the size of 4 cross 4, and I'm running this portion. So here it is an array which is created with all the zeros. Whereas if you want to specify the desired data type, so in the array we have dtype attribute also. In this dtype attribute, here I'm specifying the integer. Here I'm creating array with the all integers of zero. So here in this zeros function also, here also we can do same thing. Here also if you specify the dtype attribute, so it will be written in the form of integer only. So here also I am specifying dtype as a integer. So here it is an array which is created with all garbage values. So after this thing, in this zeros function, if you specify one more attribute, so here I am specifying one more attribute. So it is similar to reshape function only. So in any array, if you specify two attributes, that will be considered as number of rows as well as number of columns. Whereas if you specify three attributes, first attribute corresponding to number of arrays and second two attributes corresponding to dimensionality of an array. So I'm running this portion. So here you can easily observe. So here I'm creating two arrays with the size of 4 cross 4. So with the size of 4 cross 4, here I'm creating two arrays. So for that purpose, here I am using this syntax. After this, if you want to create an identity matrix, so we can create identity matrix by using two ways. First one is I function. So here I'm using I function to create an identity matrix. So in this I function, we need to specify the dimensionality of an array. So you already aware of this thing. All identity matrices are square matrix. So in this, we need to specify only one attribute. If you specify two, here array will be created with 4 elements. Whereas if you specify 3 here, one identity matrix will be created with the 3 cross 3 size. Whereas if you specify 4 here, identity matrix will be created with the size of 4 cross 4. So like that, like this I function, here we have one more function to create identity matrix, that is identity function. In this identity function also, we need to specify the number of rows as well as number of columns. So here it is about identity function. So next we will see the lot of functions corresponding to this thing. Sorry, lot of mathematical operations corresponding to this thing. Before that thing, initially we will discuss how different operations work on this array. So for that purpose, here I'm creating one more array dynamically. So here I'm creating one array by using arrange function. In this arrange function, here I'm specifying the attributes as 1 comma 10. That means with the 10 elements, with the 9 elements, I'm creating one array. After this, I want to reshape this thing with the 3 cross 3 size. So I created this thing. After this thing, I want to perform transpose operation. So yeah, module numpy has no attribute arrange. So here spelling mistake. We need to specify e. So here one array will be created with the size of 3 cross 3. So after this thing, I want to perform transpose operation. So on this matrix, I want to perform transpose operation. To perform transpose operation, transpose is nothing but converting rows in the form of columns and as well as columns in the form of rows. So here I am applying transpose function on it. So here I think some spelling mistake will be there. Yeah, here transpose, right? So whenever you apply transpose here, rows will be converted in the form of columns as well as columns will be converted in the form of rows. So to perform this transpose operation, we need not to use this transpose function also. We can do this thing by using simple way. So by using capital T attribute, we can perform this operation easily. So here, if you observe the output, it is also a transposed array only. So after this thing, we will see the impact of random module to create an array. So if you want to create an array with the random elements, we need to use this random module. So we can create an array by using random values. We can do this thing in different ways. So first way is I want to use random. So I want to use random module. In this random module, I want to use rand function. In this thing, I am using rand function. In this rand function, we need to specify the number of attributes or number of values with how much size we want to create an array. So in this thing, here I'm specifying 2. That means I want to create an array with the 2 random numbers. So here random is a function. So here, if you want, so random function. So here it follows the uniform distribution. So it will generate a random number in the range of 0 to 1. So from the uniform distribution, it will generate a random number for each and every instance. So it will generate values in the range of 0 to 1 only. Always it will generate the values in the range of 0 to 1 only. So if you observe this example, here it generates a 2 random numbers in the range of 0 to 1. Again, I'm running this portion. Again, it will generate 2 different random numbers. So like that, if you want to specify the dimensionality of this matrix, so in this thing, we can specify the number of rows as well as number of columns also. So here in this random, I'm using random model. In this, I'm using rand function. So after this, here I'm specifying 5 comma 5. So here I want to create an array with a 5 comma 5 size. So after this, I am running this portion. So here array will be created with the size of 5 cross 5 and it generates all the random distributions from the uniform distribution only. That means every time it is generating random numbers in the range of 0 to 1 only. So to generate the random numbers in the range of 0 to 1, we need to use rand function. After this thing, we have random function. So here we have a random function which is present in random module only. So here in this random model step, we have random function. So in this thing here, we need to specify the same parameter. So initially I'm specifying 2 only. Whenever you specify the 2, here it generates a number in the range of -1 to 1. So whenever you use random function, so random function is which it follows the normal distribution. So coming to this thing, it follows the uniform distribution. So from the uniform distribution, it is returning the probability values. Whereas coming to this random function, it will generate a random number in the range of -1 to +1. So if you observe the normal distribution curve, so we will get this thing only. So here I'm saying -1 to 1. Whenever you use random function, it will generate random number in this range only. So here I want to create an array with the size of 5 cross 5 by using random function. In place of rand, here I'm keeping random. So if you observe this output, so here numbers will be generated in the range of -1 to 1 only. So after this thing, we have randint function. So to create a random array, we have randint function which is present in this random module itself. So here I am using randint function. To generate a random number in the specified range, we need to specify the range here. I want to generate a random number in the range of 1 to 100, and I'm running this portion. So here we generated one random number. So we generated one random number in the range of 1 to 100. So like that, if you want to generate more values in the specified range, so here we generated only one value. So here syntax of this thing will be similar to the range function only. In this example, one will be included as well as 100 will be excluded. So if you run this portion again, it will generate a different random number. If you run this portion again, it will generate one more random number. So here randint function. In this randint function, we need to specify the. So here I'm writing the syntax of this randint function. Randint of. So initially we need to specify the starting value. After this, we need to specify the ending value. So next attribute will be number of values. So here, if you want to create a random array with a specific number of values, you can specify number of values also. So to make you clear this thing, I am taking one more example. So by using this random module, in this I am saying random.randint. In this randint function here I'm keeping attributes. So here in the range of 1 to 100, I want to create an array with the 10 elements. So in this range, I want to generate 10 random numbers. So if you observe this output, here array will be created with the 10 elements in the range of 1 to 100. So here you need to remember starting value always included value, whereas this ending value will be always excluded value. So here it is a way to create a random array. Whereas if you want to change the dimensionality of this thing, you can change this thing also by using reshape function. I want to reshape the random array with the size of 5 comma 2. So here 5 cross 2 size. So here I am converting numpy and dimensional object has no reshape. So here again spelling mistake. So here I am reshaping this thing by using reshape function. This is about randint function. So here till here everything corresponding to the functions corresponding to this thing. So in the upcoming session we will discuss regarding slicing. So before that thing, how to perform slicing to access any specific element from an array, which is called as slicing. So to make you clear the slicing, here I will create one more array. So here I'm creating array p dot a range of. So here I want to create an array with the 16 elements. So here I'm specifying this. After this thing, I want to reshape this thing, the size of, we need to reshape this thing in the size of 4 cross 4. So if you observe this example, 16 will be excluded. I want to include 16. So for that purpose, here I'm specifying 17. So after this thing, I want to observe the output which is present in here. If you observe this thing, here array will be created with the size of 4 cross 4. Whereas if you want to access the specific attribute from this thing, so here from this array, if you want to access this element, so I will explain you that thing in the notepad, the whiteboard. I will explain you this thing. So let us assume I am taking 1 2 cross 2 or 4, 3 cross 3 array. So here I'm creating one array. So here I'm keeping some elements. So here I'm specifying 1 2. After this I'm specifying 3 as well as 4. So after this thing, here I have one more row, 5 6 7 8. After this, here I'm specifying few more elements, 9 10 11 12. So to make it clear this example, so how to slice this array element, I am taking this simple example. Here you need to divide this array into in the form of rows and columns. So here, so indexes always starts with 0 only. So coming to this first row, it corresponds to R naught. That is nothing but 0th row, and it is corresponding to row 1. Like that, so it is corresponding to row 2. Like that, we need to classify. So here different rows present in an array. So after this thing, we need to classify the columns also. So here it is corresponding to column 0, C naught. And coming to this thing, it is corresponding to column C1, that is nothing but column 1. After this thing, we need to specify same thing for this thing. So here it is coming to, it is called as C2. After the C2, it is comes under C3. So here, let us assume it is a created array by Q. So let us assume it is a created array by Q. So whereas I want to access this element from the array. So if you want to slice this 6 from this array, here we need to specify the array name. So let us assume our array name is A. We are storing array in A. In the slicing bracket, we need to specify the row number as well as column number corresponding to this element. So if you observe this example here, it is belongs to row 1. So for that purpose, here I am specifying 1. And I am separating row and columns with the comma. So with the comma, I am separating row number as well as column number. After this thing, we need to specify the column number. On which column this 6 is presented. So it is present in column 1. So for that purpose, here I am specifying 1 comma 1. So if you specify A of 1 comma 1, in this array, we are accessing this element. Like that, if you want to access this element, let us assume if you want to access this element. For that purpose, what we need to specify? We need to specify array name. After specifying this array name, here we need to specify the row number corresponding to that array. It belongs to the row 1 only. So after this thing, we need to specify the column corresponding to this thing. So here it is belongs to column 2. So here it is a way to access the specific element from the array. So yeah, we will discuss this thing again. Yeah, good. Madam will share you the screen. Sorry, Madam will share you the one more link. So quickly log in into that link. So we will discuss the remaining topics now itself. So I will take one more 30 minutes of class. So please join on that class.